Now, what a patch we have lined up here, guys. What's up, GameLeap? It's Patchy X is back at it. I hope you're all looking forward to the changes we are about to reveal. And yes, in this video, we have the full rundown of the 11.8 patch changes that were released today. So if you want to know what Riot has in store for the 11.8 patch, which is just over a week away, then this video is all you need. I'm going to be breaking down in detail all of the champion buffs, their champion nerfs, the item buffs, the item nerfs, the adjustments, how these will affect the meta, and whether it will be worth playing these champions in the near future. Now, as per, guys, I want you to tell me your thoughts on the changes, in particular if your champion is affected by any. And just a quickie, make sure to check out the GameLeap website as well. Unlike other sites, guys, we upload fresh daily content. It's not recycled from YouTube. It's challenger tier, it's informative, it's original. So do yourself a favor and get signed up. Links as always in the description and comment section. Alright, so let's get into it, and we're going to start with the champion buffs, guys, and those coming to Aphelios. And I know lots of you commented yesterday on how excited you were for these. Well, you have 6 of them. 6 buffs. So the first is to your lethality level up, so you're getting more of it at each rank, which is nice, of course, a bit more damage. Your ultimate's Calibrum and Infernum damage are up at each rank. The healing from your ultimate Severum is up 25 across the board. Your ultimate's Gravitum root lasts a little longer, and your ultimate's Crescendum is now returning an extra chakram to you. So each version of your ultimate got buffed, and your passive's lethality. So there is a lot here for sure, guys, and offensively you are even more of a threat. But is this going to help you die to anything that touches you? Is this going to make your support want to peel you for once? No doubt this calls for a bit of a celebration. I'm not trying to pee on your bonfire, but in the actual context of the game and meta, you better be an Aphelios master to really make the 20 years work. Now the next buff, well, it's just one buff this time, but honestly, this one is actually bigger than all of the Aphelios ones combined, and this is coming to LeBlanc. So your Q's base damage is up 10 at each rank, and in turn, its total damage when you detonate your mark is up 20 as well. Now it might not sound like much, it's just a bit of damage. In the laning phase, this is actually huge, especially early on. The fact that one simple Q and W combo will deal an extra 30 damage gives you a lot more kill threat, and this might make up for all the minions you're going to miss because you're underwhelming wave clear. Like LB already had enough burst damage, so this is pretty nuts. Any LB mains out there, let me know how excited you are in the comments. Now up next, we have one of the most popular junglers in the game, and for 11.8 Lee Sin, well, you might be able to do more in the early to mid game where you really shine because your E's cooldown is down a flat 2 seconds. This will help if you're clearing the early game, absolutely. So clearing Krugs, Raptors, and Wolves will be a heck of a lot easier, and also Blue and Gromp at the same time, and maybe this means you can clear all 6 camps as fast as all the other meta junglers. So this one definitely seems to pack a punch, or a kick. Now this next champion guy's getting buffed. Well, lots of players in lower levels of play struggle to play against him, but in high elo, Vladimir isn't really that good. But this might change because in 11.8, your Q's cooldown is decreasing at later ranks, and seeing as you max this first, at level 9, your Q's cooldown is going to be up every 4 seconds, and that's not taking into account the ability haste you'll invest in. Like, can you guys remember when Riot buffed Nasus's Q cooldown by half a second, and it shot him to the top in the win rate department? Well, this Vlad buff and an item buff we are soon to talk about may well do exactly the same for the Crimson Reaper. Now, another mage who has been hovering around the weaker side of things this season is Cassiopeia, and in 11.8, well, you might improve a little bit because your E's mana cost is lowering at later ranks, and you do max this first, so your lane bullying has a bit more potential, and it's also a little more forgiving if you do mistime your Poison Fang when trying to last hit. And the last champion buff, guys, is one of the most consistent champions in the game, in the sense that regardless of how fed or dumpstered you are, on Zac you are always going to be useful. Well, even more so in 11.8 because Riot are buffing your W's base damage and its AP ratio. So for those chads out there playing AP Zac, your bouncers are about to get a whole lot scarier. Obviously for fighting and scaling it's great, but even for your early clear, the extra base damage is super valuable, so 11.8 Zac, guys, could well be one of the strongest junglers. So those are the buffs, guys, and now it's time to do a 180 and talk about the upcoming champion nerfs just around the corner. And the first 2 we're going to focus on are the 11.8 nerfs to 2 mid lane mages, Annie and Orianna. So for Annie, your W's mana cost is now up 10 at each rank, and this means pretty much nothing. By the time you start putting points into your W, you will already have Lost Chapter and probably Luden's Tempest, so you have plenty of mana to spam your spells, so no worries here. But for Orianna, well, it's a bit more of a worry because you are losing the armor and magic resist the ball gives you when it's attached to you before rank 5, and seeing as you max your protect last, you are more killable. Like, even if it's just 4 armor you're losing, this is big. Any AD assassin with serrated dirk is going to be licking their lips. Now next up, guys, we're going to talk about the nerfs coming to 2 top laners, so Gnar and Yorick. Now for Gnar, it's nothing to throw a boulder about because you're only losing some W movement speed at earlier ranks, and you will still be effective at harassing in lane, escaping ganks, engaging in fights, still good. Now as for Yorick, guys, well, there is a ton to talk about, and though all of these are described as nerfs, 11.8 is going to be a net win, so listen to this. So your Mistwalker's damage is down later in the game, and your E Mistwalker's damage is actually halved on their first attack, so okay, your damage output isn't as OP as it was, but Riot are actually adding an effect to your E, so marked units will take even more damage from the next 8 Mistwalker attacks. And this is great, not just for lane Yorick when you land your E, but also in the jungle. But But the real interesting changes are these right here, guys. Enemy towers are no longer going to attack Yorick when his Mistwalkers are attacking enemy champions. Enemy towers are no longer going to attack Yorick when the Maiden is attacking enemy champions. And finally, enemy towers will prioritize minions over the Maiden. So split pushing and diving are 100 times more impactful. And let's not forget those Trinity Force changes from last patch as well. So all in all, guys, 11.8 Yorick is buffed more than anything. Now, the last champion nerf we have to talk about, guys, is the Thresh, and Ryder increasing your E's cooldown and changing it from a flat cooldown to a scaling one. Will this make you Thresh mains max E and not W? And then, of course, how much will this actually negatively impact your power in a game? We'll have to wait and see. Now, as we get into the item changes, guys, it is my last friendly reminder to all of you watching to, first of all, like the video for timestamps, and to not forget to check out the GameLeap website when I stop talking. You see, guys, I wouldn't rave about it nearly as much if it was weaker than ADCs at the moment. So get around that top tier content that thousands of your fellow summoners are taking advantage of. Links down below. Alright, so the item buffs coming next patch, guys. This is the next topic, and there is only one of them, and this is the Frozen Heart, and its armor is up by 10. So if you're playing Nasus or Malphite or Cho'Gath or into attack speed champions, the FH is even more viable. And then, of course, we have the item nerfs, guys, and there are two of these. So for Urgot mains, Shen mains, and maybe some Sion and Aurelia mains, Titanic Hydra is on the hit list, and Ryder nerfing the AD and the Colossus passive, so the more HP you get, well, now you're getting less AD in return. And the later the game goes, this certainly means something. Your 1v1 becomes weaker, your team fighting, your wave clear, and it doesn't really make much sense because Urgot is the big abuser of this item, and Ryder haven't even targeted the on hit, which is what makes the legged shotgunner so oppressive. And then the other item nerf, guys, is coming to Ionian Boots of Lucidity, so cooldown boots, and it's now costing an extra 50 gold. But honestly, this isn't going to stop pretty much every class bar 80 carats from buying it. And lastly, guys, we have the champion adjustments and item adjustments. Now, remember those champions, right, we're adjusting to try and make them viable in the jungle? Well, listen to these changes because some of these are so whack. So for Zed, I'm not joking, you're probably going to be more viable as a jungler than mid laner because your passive's cooldown is only applying to enemy champions. So for minions and monsters, you can get off multiple passive procs, which is crazy. But this damage is going to be capped against epic monsters, so dragons, Rifthold, and Baron, so 300 at all levels, but this is actually higher than what it was in the early game before. So overall, you can actually clear camps before 3 items, and taking one minor attack speed rune should be all you need to power through the jungle on 11.8 Zed. I definitely want to hear what you Zed mains have to say about this, by the way. Now, we also have Mordekaiser, and this buff might be just as big. So your passive's AoE has a higher damage cap against monsters, and your passive has a new effect whereby your actual passive stacks are refreshed on damage to all monsters, not just large ones. And I've already seen clears on the PBE of Mord full clearing before Scuttlecrab spawns without a leash. Like, I'm starting to think some of this patch is actually meant to be an April Fool's prank. And then we have two other mages getting jungle adjusted, guys, and these are Diana and Morgana. So for Diana, okay, our passive is doing more damage against monsters and you're getting more attack speed after using her ability, but I doubt this will be enough to make her viable in the jungle. But in the actual mid lane, these are really handy. The attack speed for your early game trading, and once you steal your jungler's blue buff, the extra damage to monsters will be massive. And for Morgana, guys, your W is dealing 50% more damage to monsters. So yeah, your clear is going to be Pog. Simple as that. And then we have the Darius jungle buff, and this is what a lot of you have probably been waiting for, and your passive is dealing an extra 125% damage to monsters, and this is bonkers. Like the Morgana buff, guys, it is simply going to allow Darius to Pog his way through camps, and he actually has good gank potential as well, so this could be the scariest buff out of all. So very interesting changes. Now, another interesting change is the 11.8 adjustment to Rumble. So your base magic resistance is lower, as is your MR per level, and this is to take the Junkyard Yordle out of the mid lane. So Riot instead have given your passive max health damage when you're up against those top lane juggernauts, a new passive effect which gives you 50% attack speed when overheating, a new effect in your E which reduces the target's MR for 4 seconds, which stacks, so hit them with 2 harpoons and 20% of their MR is suddenly gone, and your E's danger zone effect where you're reducing the target's MR by another 5%. So honestly, guys, I know a lot of Rumble mains were skeptical about what Riot had in store, but this looks really good. Trading MR for all of these effects is giga worth, and we'll definitely see Rumble back in business in the top lane. Now, the last champion adjustment, guys, is to Dr. Mundo, who Riot don't really want to be a jungler anymore, it seems, so they are reducing your Q's capped monster damage early on and lowering your E's damage as well. And to entice you into the top lane, your passive's healing is stronger, which is great for your sustain, and you will heal for 100% of the health cost when your cleaver hits an enemy champion. So for harassing and trading, this is obviously really good. I also know some of you Mundo mains play him specifically in the top lane, and no doubt more will join you in 11.8. Now, the final part of the video, guys, the item adjustments. So first up, the Mage Mythic Hextech Rocket Belt is getting changed. You're losing 100 HP, okay, but it's giving you 6 Magic Pen, which is the same as Luden's Tempest, and this is going to allow Echoes and Vladimir's and maybe even LeBlanc's with the buff she's getting to have a bigger impact after this item is bought, in terms of one-shotting and hard-carrying fights, that is. And up next, we have Moonstone Renewer's Mythic mythic passive, which is now increasing its Starlit Grace heal by 10, and with the lower heal, as you can see, later in the game this will actually be stronger, which is when you Namis and Sorakas and Seraphins and so on shine anyway. So this looks positive. Then we have the Staff of Flowing Water change, and instead of granting movement speed, it's now granting ability haste and the same AP for an extra second. So this wouldn't just be great to use on AD carries, but also mages like Vladimir and Silas. Jeez, what a patch for Vladimir. And then we have a big change, guys, to Shirelia's Battle Song. So it's getting a new passive, which is going to grant those allies you empower or protect, so think of a Nami E or Janna shield, movement speed for 1.5 seconds. So if you have a hyper carry like Jinx or Vayne or even Aphelios, this is going to help them dodge skill shots and just stay alive to actually become that hyper carry. And it's giving 5 ability haste instead of MS via its mythic passive. And this is also a great change because ability haste is the most important stat on spellcasting supports, so getting more of it, I mean, why not? And finally, guys, we have a change coming to Chemtech Putrefier. So it's giving you 5 more AP, so your healing and shielding will be better, but it's no longer allowing users to access the Grievous wounds when they heal or shield themselves. You have to do so on an ally, so mages who might abuse this cheaper Grievous wounds alternative are much less inclined to do so. So those were the 11.8 changes, guys, and I must say, I've seen a lot worse, and I think a lot of mains of the champions we mentioned will be very happy. So let me know if I'm right or not in the comments. Are you guys happy? And before leaving, please subscribe to the channel and turn on all notifications. And until tomorrow's upload...